Hi guys. It's been 1 week since I had Jacob, and I just wanted to do the labor and delivery story before I forget every little detail. I'm gonna go ahead and just show you him first. See how good I can do this. Sweet dad, he just ate. So cute. Okay, so how do I go about this? He was due, of course, October 30th, and nothing happened that day or anything. And you saw my other videos, so you know what happened or whatever. How it was like late already, and I was like, "What the heck's going on?" Anyway, um, his original due date when I did my first ultrasound was November 6th. So in my little head, I'm already thinking, you know what, this kid's gonna give me trouble. He's gonna come in November. So November, I think the same day, November 6th, I had an appointment, my second appointment for like the non-stress test, because that Monday I had one, and I was still at 2 centimeters from Friday that Halloween. So that Thursday, actually the day before that, Wednesday, if you saw one of my crazy videos, I bought a body ball and I started bouncing on it and doing like hula hoop motion and squats and stuff like that to see if bring the baby down, do something, you know. So I did that, and so the next day, Thursday, the doctor checked me and I told him about that because I doubt that would work, you know. I never heard of something like that. I was like, okay, whatever. So he checked me and he was like, wow. He's like, oh, that's good. Like, it just sounded horrible. He's like, oh, yeah. All happy about it. He's like, yeah, you're 3 centimeters and 50% of face and your cervix is soft. So whatever you're doing, go ahead and keep doing it. I'm like, okay. I think I did a couple more squats that day. And he was able to sweep my membranes. And actually, when he checked my cervix, it wasn't as painful as before. Kind of weird. So, I had 3 centimeters and I wasn't in any type of pain. Just little mild menstrual cramps. That's all it was. So, that was Thursday. And then I will have, after the membrane sweep, forget it. I will have little contractions here and there, but they weren't consistent. They weren't, you know, they'll be close together, like at least 8 minutes, but then I won't have them for another 20 or another hour. So I did squats that day again. Tried nipple stimulation. I don't know if we had sex or not, I can't remember. But so that was Thursday. And the doctor's like, he was on call for that night. He was like, I'm on call for this night. He goes, I wouldn't be surprised if you come tonight to, you know, deliver. I'm like, okay. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, there's no way it's gonna progress that fast, you know. So yeah, we did that Thursday. I'm trying to think of what else. Friday. Yeah, so Friday my husband called out thinking, you know, because we started having a little bit of contractions. I didn't want him to miss anything at all. But then Friday it stalled again. I'm like, it just keeps stalling. Like, I'll have contractions, then I won't, then I will. And I was like, oh my God. And my brother and sister were coming from Virginia. And I'm like, they're going to miss the baby. He's not even going to be born. Because Tuesday, if I didn't have him before Tuesday, that's my induction date. And I was freaking out for being to be induced. So Friday they came. And I started having little bits of contractions. So I took a shower that night. And I just, you know, quietly went to bed. And tried like to be relaxed and everything. And I was having quite a bit of contractions, you know, 8-10 minutes apart. And I don't know what it is with my children and their aunt, but I had this connection with her. And yeah, I was like, he's waiting for you to get here. That's what he was waiting for. So she talks to him. She sees me in like a little bit of pain, so she starts rubbing my belly and talking. She's like, listen, you need to come out already. Mommy's, you know, very uncomfortable. We all want to meet you and stuff like that. And contractions picked up around 2 in the morning, and I waited a little while, at least for an hour, to make sure. They were never 5 minutes apart. Never. Like, that's when they told me that they were like, come when they're 5 minutes apart. You know, lasting for a minute, for an hour. And it would never do that. It would last for a minute or a little bit more, but it wasn't, you know, they will only be 8 minutes apart. I was scared to like go, you know, have the baby in the car or something crazy happen, you know. So I call my doctor. He doesn't call me back in a half hour. I'm like, let's go. I don't got time. When we call back, and they're like, let's see if he calls. He waited for like 5 more minutes. I'm like, I'm not waiting. I'm just going to go. Because I was just worried. I wanted to see how far along I was. So when I went to the ER first, he's like, I didn't even have to talk. They already knew, little saw how I looked. I had a jacket that you couldn't even notice I was pregnant. But she's like, you're in labor? I'm like, yes. And they took me to labor and delivery triage first. And put me there on the monitor to check everything. Then some doctor came in and checked me. He was like, you're 4 centimeters and 70% safe. I was like, good. So I was getting admitted and then went to regular labor and delivery. Oh my God, when I was in there waiting, there was a lady screaming her head off. And I'm like freaking scared. I'm like, oh my God, this was my first baby. I'll be freaking out. I'm like, it's not that serious. But yeah, she was screaming like someone was killing her. And then I didn't hear the screaming anymore. And then I heard a baby. So yeah, she had the baby in triage, which was scary. Anyway, so then we went to labor and delivery, and they're like, we're going to have you walk, which was okay with me this time around. Last time I didn't want to walk, but this time I was like, this needs to get going. I am tired of being pregnant. So every time they put a IV and everything, just fluids to keep me hydrated and stuff. We walked for an hour, around a couple laps, and yeah, that's when the contractions will pick up and a lot of pressure. I had to like pass gas, I felt like. My husband was massaging my lower back. It was just horrible. Then I'll sit down for a little while, then I'll try to use the bathroom as much as I could without pushing too much because you're not supposed to. So that was at 4 o'clock in the morning. And then around 8 o'clock, the doctor finally showed up. And I've never seen her the whole entire time that I was pregnant. It's just that they cover each other in the same building. And so when I said she was on call, I was like, I don't even know her, but she's female, and I was happy I had a female this time around because women understand what they're, she had kids, she knows what what we're going through. I don't think men are ever going to understand what we're going through. So she came in, she checked me, and I was 7 centimeters. I was like, yes, thank goodness, And she's like, I could pop your water. I was like, yeah, pop my water. So she went to go change. By the time she popped my water, it was like 10 o'clock, I believe. And the contractions were, they were getting intense. Like I walked a little bit more, but then I started like feeling urges to push. Like it was bad. It was just horrible. I was like, please just check me again and whatever. And I think I was probably 8 around there. Then I knew it was gonna happen before noon. I was like, I'm gonna have him before noon. So then after that, the baby's head would not go down. Like he was like 9. I was like 9 centimeters, but I was still in the -1 station. And you have to be at least at 0 or 1 or plus. 0 or +1. And I wasn't there yet, and I was just like, oh my God. So they put me on a body ball, doing the same exercise I was doing the other day, and that helped a little bit. Helped him get down a little bit more, but that's when it was really intense. Like I would like hold on to the bed sheets, and just, oh my God, I had to scream at some point. I was like, I didn't even scream for my son, and I had to scream for his. I just couldn't take it, and I would just stay out of breath at times, and I'll try to relax myself, try to breathe it out, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. So I was like upset. I was like, that's it, I need to push. I had the urge to push. So, the nurse is always like, okay. But, I'm like, hurry up and get the damn doctor, Because she kept messing with the damn heart monitor, like trying, she couldn't find his heartbeat right. And I'm like, oh my God, just leave that shit alone. Sorry, I have to curse. And freaking get the doctor. So when she comes in, she's like, okay, I'm okay. She's like, you're 9 centimeters, you're almost there. And I was starting crying, and I'm like, please don't leave me. I told her, because you know how it is, the doctor leaves, and then every time you have to push, you have to wait like another 10 minutes for them to come. So I said, please don't leave. She felt so bad for me. She was rubbing my hand. She's like, I'm not going to leave you. I'm not going to leave you. I'm going to stay right here, okay? And then, like, everything just, I will get hot. My husband would fan me. They'll be like, don't leave me. And it was just, like, crazy. And then I was like, I really felt the urge to push. She's like, okay, let's do this, and let's push. And she checked me. She's like, okay, you're at 0 station, 10 centimeters, which is still not. He should have been at the +1. It would have been easier to push him out, but I had the urge, and I needed to push. So when it came time to push, last time I had so much more support with pushing. I had like whole bunch of nurses. They're like right next to me, holding my legs for me. Like I'll hold my legs, but they hold them for me a little bit more. And then they count it for me, like 10, 9, whatever, and tell me when to push. But this time, like, the nurses were a little further. I'm like, what the hell? Like, no one's helping me push here. I need to concentrate. And, like, I started pushing and stuff, and you get that burning sensation. That's another thing. With my son, his head was pretty big, first time doing this. So the doctor was like, he already knew. That's it. We're going to do a episiotomy because he's really big. His head's big. So he numbed me in that area and then cut me. And I didn't feel anything, so I didn't think it was that bad when I pushed the baby out. It hurt only when his shoulders came out. But with this little critter, it was horrible. Like I was pushing and pushing. I felt like I was getting nowhere. And I was staying out of my time. When I pushed, I turned as part red as a tomato, trying the hardest that I could. I was out of breath. There was a time that I felt so much pressure and like crazy contraction. And the doctor said I was breathing, exhaling too much, and she's like, Wilza, you are hyperventilating. Please. She's like, please, just calm your breaths. You're hyperventilating. I'm like, I don't know why they didn't even give me an oxygen. They should have given me an oxygen mask. Because that's how out of breath I was, like, every time I pushed. Like, it was really, really, really bad. And, she calmed me down. I started breathing normal. And then, she's like, his head is right there. So then I pushed. And I felt his head coming out. Then, like, when I pushed again, I felt him coming out, like everything, like his shoulders, and I felt her turning him, because, when they come out facing down. So they start turning him, and I felt her turning him. I was like, that is it. He's right there. So I just pushed with all my might, until his shoulders were out enough so I could pick him up. Just, how you pick up a baby through here, through his arms. And she was like, grab your baby. And I'm like, I can't. She's like, no, grab your baby. Trust me, you're going to want to do this. Like, oh my God. I grabbed him, and it was just the biggest relief when he popped right out and threw him on my chest and just rubbed him. He cried right away. Cried and cried and cried. It was just so nice. And I never cry for some reason when my children are born. I cried during the labor and stuff, but I don't know, maybe it's just an adrenaline rush or something. My husband's always like in tears. You see him in tears. And he was like, and I'm cutting the umbilical cord, so I cut the umbilical cord and everything, and it was just crazy. Pushed him out in about a half hour. And yeah, he was out. 8 pounds, 5 ounces, 20 inches long. And that's the labor and delivery. It was pretty rough. But he only gave me a skid mark. She didn't cut me. That's another thing. My husband was like telling the doctor, cut her. It's taking her too long to push him out. And she's like, no, I don't need a cutter. And it's called a skid mark because he kind of rubbed against my old episiotomy and it was bleeding. So she's like, I'm just going to stitch you up a bit. And she numbed me in that area, but I still felt everything. And everything happened so quick. The placenta came out faster and it wasn't that painful. And I was able to look at the placenta this time. So yeah, that was about it. Last time I had a 3rd degree laceration. This time it was a 2nd degree laceration, so it wasn't so bad. It's like last time my labor and everything was smooth, but my healing process was rough. I didn't get up to bed, only just to be in whatever. This time the labor was horrible, but the recovery was awesome. Like I was able to get up, move around, do stuff for myself. Like my husband hardly had to help me. He was just in the shower with me when I had a shower to make sure I didn't faint or anything. And we did all good. And now I'm going to talk about my stay at the hospital. So my stay at the hospital, the first night, my husband, he was tired, from her rubbing me. I'm like, yeah, rubbing me, but I was the one going through the labor. But he went home. He didn't want my son to feel like, left out and stuff, even though my parents were there, my brother was there, and sister. But so he stood home, and my sister stayed with me that night, and I wanted him to stay with me that night too, the baby. So that was a rough night because I wanted to strictly breastfeed, and as soon as he came out of me, I breastfed and he latched on wrong. So that automatically caused my nipples to crack and bleed, and they're scabby, and they're still scabby, and I'm still breastfeeding and everything, but just putting ointment on it, and he's strictly breastfeeding. But that'll be in another video, so I'll talk about that later. But for the first night at the hospital, he was really fussy, he didn't want to eat at first. I'm like, oh my God, he hasn't eaten all day, but that's how newborns are. So that night I would get a nurse in, make sure like that he latched on right. Like, yeah, he latched on right. Feed for as much as I could until he fell asleep. Because they just fall asleep all the time when you're feeding them. And then we'll change his diaper. We'll do all this stuff. Me and my sister were like zombies that night because they keep checking on you, and then the baby wakes up. He was just like spitting up a lot, and one of the nurses said that it could have been because he wasn't in the birth canal when I was pushing him. He wasn't in the birth canal for a while. I pushed him up pretty quick, so he wasn't able to feel that pressure and stuff. But I wanted him out. I pushed him as quick as I could get him out. So then, that was the first night. The second night, my husband stood with us, and the nurse told me, if I were you, I'll have him in the nursery tonight, and they'll bring him to you every 3 hours when he's supposed to feed, not so you can get your rest. So I did that. That was better. He latched on good. But the whole time I thought he was latching on wrong. But Monday, when they were gonna discharge me, I made sure the lactation saw me and everything. She's like, yeah, he's latching on perfect. He has a perfect latch. You hear him swallowing. Yeah, but you only have colostrum, so it's not a lot of stuff. But yeah, that's about it. So everything I can remember. If you have any questions, ask me. Did it, of course, natural. And the doctor was so proud of me. She was like, only 20% of women do this. I'm very proud of you. You did a great job. And that's it. I felt like if it was a guy there, he would have like cursed me out and be like, girl, just push, shut up, it's not that serious. But that's why I wanted a girl this time around, because they know they've been through what I've been through. And yeah, so I'll talk to you guys later. I want to do a 1 week, first week home update, which is, I'll do Monday, because Monday I go to the doctor with him. And yeah, we'll do that. I can tell you why I look like this. And yeah, I just want to let people know that it's not easy having a newborn at home, and the second child isn't as good as the first one. My first child was an angel compared to this one, but I still love you, yes. So, yeah, I wish he would wake up so you guys can see him, but he sleeps a lot. That's what newborns do, just poop and pee and sleep and eat. But yeah, so I'll do that video very, very soon, because I want to see how he did from Wednesday's appointment to Monday's appointment, from Monday's appointment, and I'll tell you how the first week was and how breastfeeding is going and everything like that, alright? Bye.